Welcome, YouTube family. Welcome to the Kevin Strong Show. And in this video, we're going to talk about 10 reasons why you're broke and how to do better. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is going to be very practical. If you are enjoying this content, please subscribe, comment, and share because I care. So without further ado, let's jump into this article. Before I get into the article, I'm going to talk about things about living paycheck to paycheck and some recent information and research that I've gathered before I decided to do this video. So living paycheck to paycheck is an unpleasant financial reality, as you guys know, for a lot of Americans. A lot of people don't know that about 59% of adults in the U.S. admit to living paycheck to paycheck. Now, I think that particular stat is grossly underreported. I think the actual number is probably close to somewhere between 75 and 80%. Okay. And now this one index is called the Modern Wealth Index Survey. This was taken by Charles Schwab in 2019. They said that almost half, approximately 45% of Americans have credit card debt and only 38% have an emergency fund. Once again, I respectfully reject these numbers. I'm sharing it with you to show you that a lot of times the information that you get on the internet isn't necessarily accurate. If you're asking me, I think the amount of people who have an emergency fund, let's say for an unexpected expense of about $500, I'd probably think probably 60% of people probably could not make that unexpected payment unless they were putting it on a credit card. So I go on. There's a surprising number of upper middle class earners. Now check this out. There was a recent study done within the last couple of years by this global advisory firm called Willis Towers Watson. Listen to this, folks. They found that 18% of people, not household incomes, 18% of individuals who made more than $100,000 a year, 18% of those individuals were still living paycheck to paycheck. So this thing affects all different classes of economic people, whether you're poor, middle class, or in some cases, upper middle classes. Upper middle class. A lot of people just don't manage their money effectively, or they're not organized. And as a result, they get ahead of their skis, so to speak, and they are living paycheck to paycheck. So without further ado, let's get into the news. As you can see here, this is not an old article. It just came out roughly less than about 6 or 7 weeks ago. And the title of it is, which is the title of this video, basically, I am broke. That's not me, homie. But I'm just saying, you got to reach the masses. I am broke and 10 reasons why and how to do better. So let's start off with some of this stuff. Let's go with the first one. You don't have the right mindset. And I've talked about this. You might have heard this before, but having the right mindset regarding your life and finances is essential for success. If you are willing to tell yourself, I am broke, your perspective will prevent you from succeeding. The way you think about things translates into how you act. I think this is really important because a lot of people think by either saving money or holding themselves financially accountable for their actions, somehow they're depriving themselves. But if you look at it as that you're saving, let's say, for something meaningful, or you want to put some money in the bank in the event that you have an emergency that comes about, that you don't have to rely on these high credit cards and their interest rates, that you can pay that off quickly without putting added financial stress on your household. I always think that's a good way. And your mindset will help you stay disciplined as you go through this endeavor of basically reining in your spending. Here comes reason number 2. You don't plan your spending, paying off your debt, saving money, investing, living life. In order to successfully do any of these things, you need to have a plan around your money. Okay. That means learning how to budget. A budget not only helps to ensure you're keeping your expenses below your income, but it also allows you to plan out what you can spend, save, and invest. Now, there's different budgets out there. Some people have like a 50, 30, 20 budget. I'm not going to get into all that. Some people have a zero budget, which basically means that one is you allocate or not allocate, you account for every dollar that you spend within a 30-day period. You know how much you start at the beginning of the month in terms of an income and expense standpoint. And by the end of the month, you have all of that taken out in terms of what you spent or what you saved, and everything should zero out. And that's called a zero budget. Very, very effective way to get accountability of their money that's going in and out of your household. Reason number three, you spend more than you earn. I think that's a lot of people. This is one of the biggest reasons why people stay broke, and a direct result of not budgeting, which was in example two, which I've just explained. Budgeting is everything. You've got to start off with accountability, because even if you don't make a lot of money, you'd be surprised of how much money that you actually spend in excess or spend on items that are not necessarily a need. They basically fall under the category as a want. Number four, you lack self-discipline. Self-discipline is one of the biggest areas people struggle with when it comes to financial success. Sometimes peer pressure, sometimes who you date. That's not listed in one of the top 10. I would probably call that the first one. From dating, or if you're married, a lot of times, birds of a feather flock together. And as you know as well as I do, breaking up or people who end up in divorce, typically finances or money is one of the top three reasons that lead to things like that. So it's important to get with someone that's in your inner circle that has adopted the same mindset that you have. So it's not a constant pull and push. There's not a lot of friction when it comes to what we should spend our money on. You guys are basically working in sync with each other instead of working against each other. Number five, you're borrowing for everything, not planning ahead, spending more than you earn. Just put it on a credit card, right? Some people have that attitude. You can't take it with you. Whatever it takes. This is not forward thinking. This is playing checkers, just looking at the move directly ahead of you. You're not playing chess, which requires you to calculate things 2 and 3 moves ahead. You have to be proactive when it comes to your budget and your income, because when unexpected expenses come about and you don't plan for that, that's why it's called an unexpected expense. A lot of times it can really, really throw you in a tailspin financially, as it can have a negative effect on your budget. Number six, you procrastinate saving money. This is a big one. I don't know why they have this listed at number 6, but if you want to build wealth, you have to save money. Now, too many people make the mistake of thinking that you just need to earn money in order to save. But that way of thinking is so wrong. Now, I'm an advocate of that, but I'm more of an advocate and a stronger advocate of learning how to trade or finding ways to reduce your taxable income. A lot of people are very, very big fans of Dave Ramsey. And I think for certain people to initially get out of that, that may be appropriate. But in terms of long-term planning and trying to basically create wealth, you're going to have to come out of your comfort zone a little bit, because you're not going to just be able to work a side job to make ends meet. I mean, you do that out of necessity, but very few times does that pathway lead to any type of true financial freedom. Let's go here to number 7. You don't invest. You may be thinking, I can't invest, I'm broke. The most popular excuse is the most popular excuses I get around why people don't invest. Investing is gambling. They think they're going to lose their money. A lot of you guys are in like 401ks. People who are first responders are in programs called 457Bs, which is basically a city equivalent tax deferred program to a 401k. These are just plans, so to speak. They're not tax strategies. There's way more effective ways to get the best use out of your money. In my opinion, that's not financial advice, okay? But I'm just telling you, based on my experience, that there's a lot of ways to get a better return. And the primary reason for investing in a 401k and or 457B program should not just be for the tax shelter. If you're primarily doing it for that, you're missing a lot of opportunity that you could be taking advantage of. Number 8, you compete with everyone. I think that goes without saying, trying to keep up with the Joneses. I have never been a pretentious person. That's probably why I'm single. But hey, like Telly Savalas said in the 70s, who loves you, baby? If nobody loves Kevin, I got to love Kevin. But all jokes aside, that's a very important thing. Peer pressure or trying to create an image. And that's why the thumbnail I had is about some people rather look rich and then you can actually be rich. And that's really, really a big thing that some people just can't break away from, because they're so concerned or they're obsessed with the image or the facade that they want to portray to people. So let's go here to number 9. You don't make paying off debt a priority. Debt sucks. And if you have it, you don't need me to tell you about that, right? Everybody understands that, but you have to come up with some type of method to effectively not only pay off your debt, ladies and gentlemen, but more importantly, you, or if you have your significant other, come up with a future date where you're going to have this debt paid off. Because if you don't come up with something that you can measure, that's a measurable goal, like, hey, within 3 years, I want to be debt free, or within 5 years, I want to be debt free. I want to be debt free in 2 years. You kind of just aimlessly drift, and you don't really give yourself some type of accountability to start cutting back on excessive expenses, because you say, hey, we're 18 months away. We've got to reach our goal. So as a result, we have to cut back on A, B, and C. So that's definitely a good thing to do. And it also fits in to a budget. And last but not least, as Nelly said, you're just scared. The fear of failure. This is the big one. Too many people stay stuck in sucky financial situations because they're afraid to fail. I think people just scared to get out of their comfort zone. I talked about this in other videos. I got family and close friends of mine who have been struggling with debt for multiple decades, and they just can't seem to get ahead because some of these things that we've talked about, the first 9, they haven't implemented on a consistent basis. And I guarantee you, if you start to have some type of financial discipline and follow some type of budget and hold yourself accountable for excessive spending, you will see light at the end of the tunnel. It's becoming very difficult, even more difficult in our current economic environment, to get out of debt. But if you have the means to do so, you need to. And even if you are far behind debt, you still should strive to be somewhat debt-free. I'll do a video on debt-free because that's really impossible. That's a misnomer. I don't know why people talk about being debt-free, because you really can't. But I will save that for another video. So let me go ahead and switch back over to my screen here. So that's going to be it for this video here. I hope you enjoyed it. This was the Kevin Strong Show. Please do me a favor. If you're enjoying this content, please subscribe, comment, and share, because I care. This was the Kevin Strong Show. And subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.